going on, guys? My name is Zed and welcome to this video. This is last week I watched number 30, and without any further ado, let's get into it.
How are you going to pay for the room?
We shall remunerate with metallic tinder discs.
Correct. This is fine. Yeah.
So, number 30 is a bit of a milestone. You know, every 10 episodes is kind of a milestone. But 30 weeks in a row, not missing a week, that's awesome. So I started off the week with Coneheads. Now, this one is based off of a Saturday Night Live skit, right? Which I am not accustomed to. I don't really watch Saturday Night Live. I've watched some of the highlight clips on YouTube and such, but it's not my kind of show. But I've always been intrigued by the poster. You know, this poster right here with the 3 characters with really pointy shaped heads. And I've seen some of the clips and they use weird voices. Dan Aykroyd, love Dan Aykroyd. So I watched it and you know what? I enjoyed it. There's a ton of stuff in the movie that is a total callback to the old SNL skits. And I realized that when I went back and watched some of them. And there's like a ton of like little callbacks to the SNL skits. So this is totally for SNL fans, which I am not. This movie is actually chock full of cameos from SNL alumni. And that is great for SNL fans, but I fall underneath the camp where if there's too many cameos from too many familiar faces, it pulls me out of the movie. I'm seeing Drew Carey, Chris Farley, David Spade, Adam Sandler. I mean, I'm seeing all these people and it immediately pulls me out. I don't know why, but there's just so many people that I'm like, oh, I know that's a familiar face. I know that guy, And it's just one of those things that does it for me. But for other people, it's probably awesome to see that kind of stuff. But overall, there's 2 jokes that made me laugh the most. The first one, I did not see it coming, and that was Dan Aykroyd chewing the condom like bubble gum. And he's he blows it out, and that joke really got me. And the second one is when his character is coming out of the shower, going into the shower, maybe the steam room, and he has a flat ass. There's no crack or anything. It just looks like a Ken doll. I thought that was a great joke. But overall, it was okay. I enjoyed it. I think I gave it 2.5 out of 5 stars, maybe 3. The correct number will be here because I forgot, but it was pretty good.
Get you good. I'm gonna get you real good.
Oh man, what kind of car is it, man?
Oh, the camera.
Oh man, that's a good car. I got one of them. I just bought one. Oh, what color is it, man?
Silver.
Oh, silver. That's a good color. You got a chrome rocker panel.
And then next up, I watched Barbershop. Now, this movie I absolutely loved. I love Ice Cube. I can't get enough of the movies he makes. He is just one of my favorite people to watch on screen, and just one of my favorite people in general. And this movie is fantastic. The atmosphere that is set up, the family dynamics, just the conversations. It's what I grew up in. You know, my dad was totally had that kind of friend group, had that kind of work environment. He would take me to his friend's house, and there would be, you know, all these people around conversating, doing this bullshit and shooting the shit, you know, calling each other out, whatever. It was a real environment. That's what Barbershop is, a real environment, you know, with real people. And I love that. And that's what Ice Cube usually does. You know, there's stuff like Friday After Next and or Next Friday, Friday After Next. Like, those movies I don't like, but like Friday feels like that is just a normal Friday. It's just a Friday with your buddy. You know, shit happens in the neighborhood. You kind of walk around, see. That's real, you know, and that's what Ice Cube brings to the table, is just the feeling of realism. But Barbershop, I absolutely love. 5 out of 5 stars. So I've been familiar with the concept of Captain Nemo for a while now, but I didn't really realize that he was from the story 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. And you have things like the Nautilus, or the Nautilus, the ship. which I'm familiar with when it comes to The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, which has a great Captain Nemo, in my opinion, and a great Nautilus, or whatever it's called. But this movie's great. I am a big fan of Kirk Douglas after I watched the Vincent Van Gogh movie. What was it called? And I watched the movie, and it was great. It is so above and beyond its time period. It's incredible the amount of special effects they were able to put in this movie, and not computer generated, just actual sets and props and different mechanics and such. It's incredible. And they do have some green screen elements here and there. Like sometimes the window is green screen, not the window, but the sea outside the window is green screen. And sometimes they have like green screen fish. You can tell it's green screen. But it's all real plates that they actually filmed, and then they're taking it and they're putting it to good use. It's all practical, even though there are some little things here and there. And then, you know, all the underwater shots having real models for the ships, and it's just fantastic. It's so great to watch, and I really, really loved the movie. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. So I'm just inserting this clip to say that I couldn't find any actual clips from the version I watched, which actually had its dialogue. But apparently they made 2 separate movies, not 2 separate movies, but they made one that was a talkie and one that was a silent film. So the clips that you are seeing, or the clip that you're seeing, is from the silent film version. So growing up, I watched a movie called Meet the Robinsons, and I absolutely loved it. But there's always this movie I'd heard about, Swiss Family Robinson. Swiss Family Robin, like, what the hell does that even mean? And finally, I was scrolling through Disney Plus, and I see Swiss Family Robinson, and I'm like, okay, I think this is finally the time for me to find out who these people are. And the story is great. I originally watched the 1940 version, and it's basically about this family. They're very upper class, very high class, very sophisticated people, but they're those kind of people that are snobby, that they don't know how well off they are. And the father decides that he needs to, basically take the family and move them somewhere else, uplift them and move them somewhere else, so that they can learn what it means to, actually be a real family with real, not issues, but just they need to be in a new environment to kind of restart their selves, restart the family. And after a shipwreck that leaves them stranded on an island, they basically have to make a new life for themselves. And it's fantastic. It really, really is. There are some characters that you're like, man, I don't know if I'm going to like this movie. Like, these characters are kind of annoying. But after a while, you kind of get, they suck you in with this charm. And the father was so lovely. He was so caring and understanding, and had so much emotion to him, and he just really wanted the best for his family and his 4 boys. And there's just so many things that happen in this movie that I'm just like, harken back to memories that I had with my own father, or with past relationships with whoever, and I was like, man, this movie is really making me feel something. And there's a great scene where the family has this extravagant shelter, this building with all these different it's totally not realistic to what kind of material they had. They got stuff from the boat and whatever, but they, above and beyond, had this beautiful home. And during a thunderstorm, it was all destroyed in a blink of an eye. And the father said, he didn't complain, he didn't get angry, he didn't get upset. I'm not a religious man, but his explanation was, God saved us. God has made it to where I can keep you all protected and safe and alive, but maybe this is his way of telling us that we still have too much. And they restarted again. And I love that give and take that nature has. And you never know when nature's going to strike back. You never know what it's going to take and when it's going to take it, and where you're going to start after that. You know, you always hear about these natural disasters. You know, growing up, you had in Haiti, the earthquakes of Haiti, and the flooding in New Orleans. I mean, there were these giant natural disasters that happened every year, but just the mentality that this man had, the father of the Robinson family, it was such a great, I don't know, I loved it. I really loved the movie, and I gave it 4 out of 5 stars.
This is something I worked out. When you're in for the night, turn the wheel, pull up your stairs.
And the last movie I watched this week was Disney's Swiss Family Robinson. I watched them back to back, and this movie was such a disappointment. Now, there are very basic things I could say about both that are unfortunate. Mostly it has to do with the treatment of animals on set. They definitely did not have, you know, the regulations that film sets have now. So there are times where you're watching and you're like, oh my God, like, I feel so bad for these animals. But in Swiss Family Robinson, there's a particular animal that I felt the worst for, and that was the ostrich. Because there was one in the original 1940 version, but this one was just tugged and jumped on and threw. It was horrible. I mean, honestly, like, it was pretty disgusting to watch. And a lot of the reviews that I read talked about the mistreatment of animals on set, but then also the character of Francis. Now, in the original movie, there was 4 kids. In the Disney adaptation, there's only 3 kids, and the youngest one, Francis, was by far one of the most annoying characters I have ever seen in a movie. Horrible character. Whoever directed that kid should have been fired at the very beginning, because I bet that kid did, like, at school and for the rest of his career, had so many people being like, you were the annoying guy from the annoying kid from Swiss Family Robinson. Like, that was the worst part of the movie, and it really was. But they changed the story a lot in the Disney adaptation. They introduced pirates. They introduced like this love interest of this girl who her ship was taken over by pirates, and to hide her identity so the pirates wouldn't, let's be honest, rape her or do anything to her. Her grandfather basically disguised her as a boatmate, you know, just a regular boy who, you know, works on the ship. They have like a whole love triangle with that. The pirates are just so stupid. And honestly, the thing I loved the most about the last movie was the father and all of like the actual survival bits. They really didn't have any, like, the father sucked in this movie, the mother sucked in this movie, the youngest kid sucked in this movie. The only 2 characters that were good were the 2, you know, the middle boy and the oldest boy. They were okay. The girl, like the disguised girl, didn't suck, but she was unnecessary for the story. This story is about the survival of this family, but yet there are so many fucking people on this island. There are like pirates everywhere. There's the ship captain. There's the girl. There's like an abundance of like resources, and they play more than they actually work. It's just I don't know. It just wasn't my thing. Swiss Family Robinson, Disney's Swiss Family Robinson, I believe I gave 1.5 stars. Just didn't like it. And that was it for this week's episode of Last Week I Watched. I want to thank you guys for watching, and I hope you all enjoyed. And until next time, guys, I'll be seeing you later. Peace.